Working late at school is never fun, but when you're stuck at the library with a ton of new books to catalog, well, it's even less so. It was one such late night, me alone with Mrs. Hendricks, the librarian, when things took a turn for the downright scary. It was pretty late into the night. Mrs. Hendricks had stepped out for a while, leaving me alone in the giant library. I was seated at the main desk, engrossed in my work, when I noticed a figure out of the corner of my eye. A vague outline in the poorly lit section of the library. I shrugged it off initially. Maybe it was just my mind playing tricks on me, right? As the minutes passed, I noticed the figure again, this time seemingly closer. A sense of unease began to creep into my mind. I tried to dismiss it, focusing on my work, but the nagging feeling of being watched wouldn't go away. Feeling brave, or maybe just really stupid, I decided to leave my workstation and check out the rest of the library. I was halfway to the dark corner where I'd seen the figure, when it stepped into the light. A man, dressed in a dark hooded jacket, his face obscured. He didn't waste any time. He demanded money and anything valuable I had. I couldn't believe what was happening. This was my sleepy little town's high school library, for God's sake. Adrenaline and fear flooded my body, but amid the panic, a thought occurred. The library had a silent alarm, a small button hidden beneath the main desk. We were told about it during the initial library assistant orientation, a precautionary measure, they said. Mustering all the courage I had, I tried to act calm. I told him my wallet was at the desk, and I'd have to get it. He hesitated but then nodded, probably figuring he could keep an eye on me from his spot. Walking back to the desk was possibly the longest walk of my life. My legs felt like jelly, my heart pounded in my chest, but I kept going. As I reached the desk, I hit the alarm button. It was done. All I had to do was hope the police would arrive quickly. As the sirens wailed in the distance, a look of panic crossed the man's face. He made a beeline for the door, but it was too late. The cops were already there, and he was apprehended. Once the initial shock wore off, the whole ordeal felt surreal. I couldn't help but replay the situation in my head over and over again. It was frightening, but also enlightening in a strange way. It made me realize that things could change in an instant, that danger could lurk anywhere, even in the safe confines of our school library. Let me tell you something that happened on the last day of school. It was pretty quiet, you know? You could hear the sound of your own footsteps echoing down the empty hallways. Kind of a strange feeling after the usual commotion of a school day. Anyway, I headed to my locker to get my stuff. As I opened it, something caught my eye. A piece of paper all crumpled up and shoved in the back. At first I thought it was some assignment I'd forgotten or something, but no, it was a note. I picked it up, smoothed out the wrinkles, and read the words scrawled on it. Do as this note says, or else. I remember the feeling in my gut as I read that. A sort of icy dread, the kind that makes your skin prickle. The note went on to detail some bizarre instructions. I was to head to an old disused room in the basement of the school after everyone had gone home. I was supposed to leave a picture of myself there. It was just weird and creepy. I didn't know what to make of it. My first thought was it was some kind of sick joke. Maybe some older kids thought it would be fun to freak out a freshman on the last day of school. But still, it didn't sit right with me. It was too detailed, too sinister. I decided to take the note to the head teacher. He read it, his face growing more serious with each word. He thanked me for bringing it to his attention and said he'd call the police. That's when I realized just how serious it was. The next few days were a blur. I was constantly on edge, looking over my shoulder every time I left the house. Every noise had me jumping out of my skin. It was like I was living in this constant state of anxiety, waiting for something to happen. Then, finally, a few days later, the head teacher called. They'd figured out who wrote the note. It was a kid in my class, a quiet guy named Billy. Turns out he was dealing with some stuff at home, and I guess he thought threatening someone would somehow make him feel better. The relief I felt was indescribable. It was finally over. I could finally breathe again. But the thing is, even though I was relieved, I couldn't help but feel a bit sorry for Billy. It made me realize that everyone has their own struggles, their own battles to fight. You never really know what's going on in someone's life, no matter how well you think you know them. That note, that experience, it changed me. It changed the way I see the world. I guess in a way it made me more aware of the people around me, more understanding. And even now, whenever I pass a school or see a locker, I remember that note. I remember that fear. I never thought something this horrifying would happen to me. I mean, I'm a regular dude just going through high school, and honestly, my life's pretty chill. Or at least it was until the day I started getting those creepy messages. It all began one regular afternoon. I just got home from school and was doing the usual. Grab a snack, do some homework, check my phone. As I checked my phone, there it was. An unknown number had texted me. It said, "I know who you are. Give me $500 and all your login details or else." I was stunned. Now, I'm no tech genius, but even I know that giving up your personal info is a big no. But the threat, that or else, it sent a chill down my spine. I thought it was a prank, some idiot trying to freak me out, so I ignored it. The messages kept coming though, and they got worse. They started mentioning things, personal stuff like my parents' names, where I went to school, stuff they shouldn't know. I was scared. Heck, I was terrified. I decided to report it to the school. I mean, if it was someone's idea of a sick joke, maybe they could help me figure out who it was. But the school counselor suggested we involve the police. I was in over my head. What started as an annoying prank was now a full-blown cyber threat case. The cops took it seriously, thankfully. They took all the info I had, the messages, the number, everything. And I tried to continue with my life, tried to keep up with the school, homework, friends, but it wasn't easy. Every beep from my phone made me jump. A couple of weeks later, the police came back with some news. They'd traced the messages back to a classmate of mine. A quiet guy, didn't talk much, kept to himself. I mean, I'd hardly ever interacted with him. Why would he do this? They said he was just trying to scare people, to feel powerful. He'd done it to others too, apparently. They assured me it was over, that they'd handle it. It was relief, but also anger. Anger at him for causing so much fear, for disturbing my life. Things eventually got back to normal, but the experience changed something in me. The fear, the paranoia. It doesn't just go away. It made me realize how vulnerable we all are in this connected world. It made me more careful, more guarded. I won't forget those messages, the fear they caused. But I also won't forget how I dealt with it, how I took steps to protect myself. It's not a happy memory, but it's a part of who I am now, a part of my story.